Last thing you need to do is arrive with a framework. So there's not too much of the planning that can be conducted prior to these sessions. A lot of people say, hey, I'm the CEO, I'm showing up with my plan, I'm really just telling them about it. And I always tell the CEO, I absolutely recommend against that. You need to make sure that you're getting the buy-in of the team. And the only way you can get the buy-in is for them to get their fingerprints on it, for them to build the plan with you, for them to give the inputs. And your plan's going to be better by getting their inputs anyway. So don't just show up and hand down that plan from the ivory tower to the rest of the team. Make sure that you are using the team members during that session to help build it and pivot it and iterate on it. But you can arrive with a few questions answered for the plan. Here are a few things that you can identify up front, and I highly recommend that you identify before you ever get in front of the rest of the team. What's your time horizon? If you're working with your team and you're trying to figure out what your version of success looks like, how far down the road are we going to plan out that success? Is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be 3 years, 4 years? And here's our recommendation. 5 years is great. 3 years is great. Anything less than 3 years, and now we're probably thinking too tactically. Anything less than 3 years, and that doesn't satisfy the requirements for a high-definition destination. And I know you're thinking, our market's changing so fast. I can't even imagine what's going to happen 3 years from now. Trust me when I say if you create your destination the right way, that it'll still be a good North Star for you, even as the market shifts, even as you acquire new companies, even as people come and go within your organization. If you build it the right way, that'll still be a North Star that you have to make very few changes to as you execute over the next 3 years. So 3 to 5 years is what we recommend, but absolutely know what that time horizon is before you show up to that planning session. Next up, what are the key financial goals that you have for your team? A few weeks ago, I was talking to the president of an organization, and I said, what is your financial goal for the long term, your 3-year goal? And he said, Thor, we're going to go get our next $10 billion. So they already had hit $10 billion in revenue. He said, we're going to go find our next $10 billion right now. I said, that sounds great. Got off the phone with that person, called the CFO at that organization. And I said, what are your financial goals for 3 years? I heard it's to get the next $10 billion, right? And he said, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to get maybe $12 billion in the next couple of years, so a net change of $2 billion. But what we're really focusing on is tripling our earnings. He said, this is an EBITDA play. We need to be able to increase our earnings right now. At our time in the market, we need to cut down on expenses. And we'll grow a bit and we'll see revenues increase. But it's really about the EBITDA that I want us to focus our team. So a $20 billion company in 3 years is very different from a $12 billion company with higher earnings in 3 years. And those two people absolutely need to get aligned on that before the planning session takes place. So identify what are the key constraints that you want to put on your financial goals before you ever get into that room and identify what the rest of the strategic plan looks like. And then finally, you can probably think of some other specific constraints that you can find before the planning session. And these are the great pre-reads you can send out. What's the total available market right now? What's the total available market predicted to be in 3 years? Some of these other key characteristics that will help you make more informed decisions during that strategic planning session. These are the read-aheads so you get the entire team on the same foundation of knowledge, so they're all showing up with that same basic understanding of the marketplace and what they need to do to be effective in the future.